Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. Guess what, guys? The Iowa Hawkeyes are officially in the NCAA tournament. No, not quite. I wish with this victory over Northwestern, but they are much better placed, much better positioned to do so. And to tell you the truth, guys, the committee, if the NCAA tournament were to start today, may not be able to, in good faith, keep the Iowa Hawkeyes out of the NCAA tournament, as they are obviously one of the hottest teams in the country, with quad one victories coming from February on to Wisconsin, Michigan State on the road, and now Northwestern on the road. And quite frankly, Iowa let a really winnable game slip through their grasp, a game in which they were up almost more than 50% of the game on the road against Illinois, but they got cold down the stretch. That, man, if they don't make the NCAA tournament, there definitely will be a few games that they look at here and there and say, man, if we could have just done a little bit more in this game. I would say early in the year against Michigan, that was a very winnable game. Had Iowa won that game, I believe it was at home. Had they won that game, I think as of today, they would definitely be positioned to be in the NCAA tournament, because Michigan has not become the team that many expected. So that loss looks a lot worse. And I do think that the loss to Illinois will also be, albeit on the road, very difficult. Of course, Illinois being who they are, they're one of the top 20 teams in the country. It's on the road in the Big Ten rivalry game. That is not an easy game to win. I fully understand that. But the competitors that the Hawkeyes have on the roster, I guarantee that would be one of the games that they wish they could have back, because for most of the game, they had put themselves in a position to win that ball game. Nonetheless, we are where we're at, and Iowa has picked up a quad one victory over the Northwestern Wildcats on the road. And it was getting dicey there for a while. Northwestern laid some punches. I would say that a lot of it was Iowa induced, Iowa beating themselves. They had a stretch there with about 10 minutes to go where they missed. I was watching the game partially, and then I started to listen to the game from Gary Dolphin, and they missed two wide open layups in back-to-back possessions, and Northwestern scored on each of their possessions. It was a 5 or 6 point swing. So part of it was definitely Iowa induced, but you're going to have those. You're going to have those even in the most perfect of games. You're going to have periods where the ball is just not dropping. The basketball gods are not in your favor. But Iowa picked up this much needed victory. I have had you guys covered every step of the way, especially with where things stand for Iowa and the NCAA tournament. I did it before the victory. I did a video before, I believe, the Illinois game on the road. Okay. Now, obviously, Iowa is much better positioned now than they were then. For all the people, there's a few things I want to say. For all the people, for all the people who say that Fran coach teams cannot win in February on, the classic Fran fade, I just don't see that that's true. I've never seen it to be true. Has there been maybe a couple of seasons where Iowa has had some tough outcomes down the stretch? Yes, especially early on in Fran McCaffrey's career. But overall, looking at his tenure, I'm not sure that that is true. And guys, the bottom line is winning in the Big Ten is not easy, especially winning in the Big Ten late in the year is not easy. Okay. So a lot of these games come down to a few baskets here and there. It's a 50-50 drop of the hat, drop in the bucket, one way or the other outcome. So this Iowa team, guys. So Iowa is now 6-3 in February. Let me see if I can get that pulled up here. We may watch some Josh Dix highlights. This guy has become the player I predicted him to be. I have known from day one when I did his recruiting video that he is a very natural basketball player. He just looks so damn comfortable out there. He's so smooth. His jumper is effortless. He can handle the rock. He's far more athletic than people give him credit for. I mean, he's not, a high flyer or anything like that, but he's still athletic and he gets good rise on his jumper and he's an excellent cutter. And that's only improved as he's gotten into Fran McCaffrey's system. So, as you guys can see here on the left hand of the screen, February began with the victory over Ohio State. So Iowa is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3 now, with a loss to Penn State, loss to Maryland, and a loss on the road to Illinois. So Iowa is definitely hot at the moment. They're hot. And they have moved themselves above 500 in the Big Ten. I believe they would have the tiebreaker over Michigan State if it came to it, because they've only played them one time this year. Yep, that's true. Yep, they would definitely have the tiebreaker over Michigan State. And Michigan State is 9-8, so they played 17 games compared to Iowa's 19 games. Minnesota won today. They may move up a few spots, and that would give Iowa another quad one victory, which I will show you guys momentarily. And that would be huge. If Iowa's victory against Minnesota on the road can become a quad one victory, as it has gone in and out over the last couple of weeks, that would be huge. Northwestern won the first half of this game. Iowa led by much of the second half by double digits. They had an onslaught early in the second half, but then they faded a little bit. But they were able to prevail. Ben Krikke, aka Ben Krikke, 12 points, 3 boards, 1 assist. Owen Freeman, 9 points in 20 minutes, 6 rebounds. I will continuously say that Fran McCaffrey's number one priority this offseason is retaining Owen Freeman. And I know, guys, I know that may seem odd that I have to say that, but we are in new times in the modern college sports era, more specifically in the modern men's basketball and football era. Okay. I honestly, I think I need to do a video on this. I agree with Clay Travis. And I said this before when I spoke hypothetically about what is going to happen in the future with these super conferences and things like that. But I have long said that really in football and men's basketball and in some portions of women's sports, and it depends on the sport and the school for some of the smaller sports or less profit making sports, but specifically for men's basketball and football, we are in an era where these what are supposed to be student athletes are not student athletes. Okay. This is not amateurism. This is more akin to a developmental league in which they make money in like a G League. And so I believe that they need to, and I said this way back when, that they need to, or what may happen is a breakaway from the NCAA for those two sports specifically. And Jay Billis has talked about this, where essentially they just become employees, where they are literally being paid as they are now to attend that university with W-2s and the whole 9 yards. Okay. So, and I don't know if I agree with that as much for Jay Billis, but I do agree with what Clay Travis has said, which is that those two sports need to break from the NCAA, and they need to essentially create their own domain of college/professionalism, and where that happy in between is, I don't know, but that's what needs to happen. Anyways, I digress. Josh Dix, 24 points in 37 minutes. This guy has been on a tear. He is balling, absolutely balling. And Fran McCaffrey, early in the year, had him in the starting lineup. He had a abysmal performance on the road against Iowa State, played scared, played nervous. Fran McCaffrey took him out of the starting lineup and put it on Josh Dix to make the improvements he needed to make and become the player that Fran McCaffrey knew he could be. He challenged him straight up, and Josh Dix has become what Fran and this ball club needs. Excellent coaching there by Fran McCaffrey, and credit to Josh Dix. I mean, he accepted the challenge, and he has taken a major step forward. Going into next year, Josh Dix may be, depending on who returns and who stays, Peyton Sandfort has in all of the mock drafts has basically appeared in every single one of them, going as high as 41st to the Miami Heat in a mock draft. But Josh Dix will going into next year will be one of the top 3 options at minimum, if not the top option. Tony Perkins, 10 points in 37 minutes, 14 assists, and 4 boards, stepping into that point guard, lead guard role. Peyton Sandfort, 23 points in 37 minutes. Patrick McCaffrey, 5 points. Lajai Dembele, 2 points in 10 minutes. We have not seen Dasonte Bowen in a long time. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he's injured or if merely he's just no longer a part of the rotation and there's not enough minutes for him. I don't know. I have looked for articles on this topic. If you guys know and have heard anything on the message boards, please let me know. But I unfortunately do not know. I think Dasonte Bowen is a tremendous prospect, but as I said in his recruiting video when he committed to Iowa, that in Fran McCaffrey's system, it is required that you can knock down shots. And if you cannot knock down shots, you have to be really, really good in other areas, like highly good. You either have to be super aggressive and play super hard, like we saw from Joe Toussaint back in the day. Anthony Clemens, more of a bulldog, but even Anthony Clemens towards the end of his career could knock down shots. So, we'll see if Dasonte Bowen can develop that. That is what I said in his recruiting video, that if he wanted to be a mainstay in Fran McCaffrey's lineup, he was going to have to develop a consistent, respectable jump shot. Let's look at Northwestern. Bowie had 27 points. Iowa very much struggled to stop him. Field goal percentage, Northwestern shot 53.8 compared to Iowa's 55. Iowa shot 50% from three, same as Northwestern. Both made 10 threes. Free throws, Iowa shot 84.6% compared to Northwestern's 87.5. Total boards, Iowa out-rebounded Northwestern 29-22, which I think ultimately that and the assist total 25-19 in Iowa's favor was the difference in the game. Iowa only had 5 turnovers compared to 7 for Northwestern. They both had 4 steals apiece. This is amazing, guys. Great win for Iowa. I love this team and where they're at right now. I love watching them play. Offensively, they're improving tremendously. They're one of the hottest teams in the country. Guys, the victories that Iowa has picked up is not easy, okay? And the 3 victories over Wisconsin, Michigan State on the road, and now Northwestern on the road shows that Iowa can play with anybody. And we even saw in a loss on the road to Illinois, even that was a good example of Iowa right now being able to play with anybody. And honestly, that was never really the question. Like, I have known this year, and that's why I predicted this Iowa team to make the NCAA tournament, because they did have the talent. Now, it took a little while to get the lineups squared away and Iowa to iron out some things. Their defense still for the 20th straight year in a row. No, that's not true. Iowa has had better defensive teams in the Fran McCaffrey era previously, but this is, the last 5 years, it has not been the case. But, man, Josh Dix can just score any which way he wants. But, net team sheets. But they've competed with every team that they've played. The only team that they really got blitzed by, I would say, would be more Iowa State. I'm trying to think if there was any other. Purdue definitely spanked them early in the year. But aside from those 2 games, I mean, Iowa has shown that they can play with some of the top teams in the country. So this is Bart Torvik here. Let's go ahead and click on Iowa. You guys can look at some of the more fun stuff, their ratings. Bart Torvik has them as the 16th best offense in the country and the 172nd best defense. I just, honestly, guys, unless Iowa drops Illinois and their first game in the NCAA tournament, I don't know how the committee keeps them out with how hot Iowa is at the current moment. I mean, they are playing as well as anybody else in the country. So none of the team sheets are going to be updated, but the chances for Iowa making the NCAA tournament will be updated by Bart Torvik. And you guys can see here, it has the win over Northwestern in there. Looks like they have Illinois as a 1.1 favorite coming up. That game will be Sunday. So Iowa has a huge rest between now and then. Man, they need that victory so bad. If they win that game, they're in, baby. They're in. And you guys can see here the team cast. It would have Iowa as the first team out of the NCAA tournament. That is how close they currently are to making the NCAA tournament. It's very surprising to me that Seton Hall is that much further ahead than Iowa, considering Iowa has the head-to-head victory and Nebraska as well. But what are you going to do? what are you going to do? Iowa in the net ranking is 58th right now. I think perhaps it is updated. Let's see. Well, I don't know. Usually they don't have it fully updated until tomorrow, but let's see. Yeah, because even here it still has Iowa 60th. So maybe that's what the projected um ranking will be once the day is done. Let's just see. Let's choose a different one. Let's do Warren Nolan. Yeah, magnificent win, guys. I'm very proud of this victory by the Iowa Hawkeyes. Um, you know, there's not really much more to be said. I mean, they're playing really good right now, and they're playing hard. They're competing. I just if they don't make the NCAA tournament, I will be let down because I want to see what this Iowa team can do in the NCAA tournament. I do. So yeah, it still has Iowa 60th. Um, Minnesota 77th, but they have a victory over Penn State. We'll see if that moves Minnesota into a quad one victory for the Iowa Hawkeyes. It depends. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. My computer's been giving me fits here the last couple of days. If that was a road game against Penn State, no, it was a home game. So that's probably going to be a quad 3 victory for Minnesota. Much like Iowa's victory over Minnesota. But so that's pretty much it, guys. Not much more to say on this. Iowa, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, Iowa, could they make the NCAA tournament if they lose to Illinois? Yes. But if they lose to Illinois, they will have to have a very strong finish in the Big Ten tournament. They would have to win at least 2 games. At least. If not one more. I mean, it would totally depend on the two games that they won in the Big Ten tournament. So, but if they beat Illinois, Iowa, I think, could only win one game and be in the NCAA tournament. I think that I feel confidently about that. Um, so here are all of their wins. You guys can see Northwestern here, quad one victory. They are 48th. And so that's squarely a quad one victory for Iowa. Minnesota is 2 spots away. So if Minnesota moves in, that would give Iowa a 4th quad one victory. And I made a Facebook post that I think I did the last 3 seasons Iowa has made the NCAA tournament. They have won between 5 and 6 quad one games. Maybe I can find that. Let me pause that. Maybe I didn't make a post about it, but the research I did, Iowa in previous years making the NCAA tournament has had at least 4 quad one victories. It's easy enough to pull up here, so we'll just backtrack. You look at 2023 team net. Iowa was 39th at 19 and 14. And they had 4 quad one victories. as you guys can see there, 4-8, but they were 9-3 in quad 2 games. And 2022, we'll just go back one more and look at 2022. 2022, Iowa won their most games in history, going 26-10. Of course, they had the brutal loss. I believe it was first round of the NCAA tournament. They went 5-7 in quad 1. So I think 4 to minimum having 4 quad 1 victories, being in the Big Ten, put you in, at the very least, conversation for the NCAA tournament. And that is where we are at. It depends on Minnesota, how much they move up or down before the end of the year. But this is where we're at, guys. So anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all the support. Continue to support the Iowa Hawkeyes men's basketball team. They are getting it done of late, and I'm looking forward to that vital contest against Illinois. You guys better pack it, pack the house. That is a huge, huge game. Support those Iowa Hawkeyes. And of course, last but not least, DBAT, don't be a pussy willow. Facts are feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you guys. See you guys next time. Go Hawks. Bye-bye.